coming up on tonight's show and a whole lot more. So just stay tuned because tonight's show is all about you guys. The Front Lines is a show built by truckers for truckers, and it's coming up. We are talking tonight about hurricane relief. That's how we're going to start tonight off. Tonight, I've got my eyes captured on a number of news feeds that are right on this computer in front of me, looking at Milton. It was scheduled earlier today to hit Florida as a Category 4, but there are certain reports now that are coming in that say it's going to hit less than that, but not be as intense, but it's still going to be a major event. So I hope you in the audience join me with everyone on the panel in sending all positive thoughts and prayers to those in the path of Hurricane Milton. In the meantime, my thoughts and prayers also go to the West End of North Carolina. I've got some thoughts on what's going on that I want you guys to be aware of. And these are thoughts that don't necessarily get very much publicity, but it's something you may want to deal with and think about moving into the Florida area once Milton's passed through. Because you know what? As much as there's everybody bringing in loads of water and paper and all of the good things that everybody needs after a hurricane passes, there's also a lot of bad. And if Helene has taught me one thing, there is a lot of that. So let me tell you something. We are talking to you from the headquarters of Truckin City's studios located in North Carolina. I am giving you the information as I see it. I am opining with an opinion y'all need to know about. But this ain't about me. This is about you and the audience. If you have something positive to add to the show, please call our studio lines. I'll bring it up here in just a moment. Don't hesitate. Throw something in the comments. Let us know. And oh, by the way, down below in the description is a StreamYard link. I welcome you. If you've got positive information people need to see in Milton, in Helene, or in the topic of conversation tonight about unionization and the good and the bad, click on that link. Become part of the show. On this show, your voice matters. We are about to go to the front lines.
Shall we begin?
YouTube's most unique news show has begun. The fastest growing YouTube channel, Truckin City News.
And I am gonna beat them.
The president telling Justin Trudeau to get tough.
There was no information online.
And the El Rushbo of Truckin News. 785-3547. That's our studio lines to be part of the show tonight. Welcome to Truckin Frontlines, a show that all others cannot be, even if they tried. You are welcome to call in, give us your thoughts, your impressions, information you think we need to know about. We are defending the honor and respect of our United States of Trucking. We don't do this alone, my friends. I do this with a host of panelists every single time we have on this live show. I do this also with the love and support of you in the audience. You guys are what make this show possible. Don't settle for silence, people. Speak out, be heard. Here you can, through our studio lines, our chats, our comments, even after post replay. Don't feel like you're doing harm or good or otherwise. Leave comments. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us what you think will help others in the trucking industry. That is what we need to hear about, because in the end, this show is about you. We are here doing one thing, and that is making trucking great again. That is our aim. You know, everybody's got their eyes fixed on Southern Florida. I know that there's a couple of people in this audience that currently have family in Southern Florida, and they are particularly interested. So, if everybody watching would join me in saying prayers and having nothing but well wishes for those in Florida with me, I'm sure Driving with John would certainly appreciate that. John, I understand you've got family down there and other personal connections. How are things up to now? Do you have any idea or any information to provide us?
Oh, just that all day today, even though the hurricane hasn't even hit yet, they've had way more than normal tornadoes all up and down the east and throughout the center of the state. So the damage is already starting to pile up, and the eye of the storm hasn't even made landfall. So
Yeah,
it's really crazy right now.
yeah. Yeah, because as we speak, I'm watching other live feeds. I mean, right now, I can't see the screen to see you guys, so bear with me if that's the case. I'm watching a live feed right now. At one time, there was as many as 13 separate active tornado warnings in southern Florida. Right now, St. Petersburg looks like it's about to get hit with the eye. Now, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it doesn't look like it's very far off of St. Petersburg. So, I mean, I don't know where those John, are in relation to that. It looks like it's taking a northeastern track right now. Um, and again, I'm not, really much of a meteorologist, but I was hoping at some point to can join a live feed with a fellow trucker that's also down there. He unfortunately ended his live stream prior to my starting, so I can't really do that now. Um, but throughout the show, I will be watching, and if anything pops up, I think you need to know about John. I'll be happy to pass it on to you. Um, Grumpy, how about yourself? Do you know anybody down there, or maybe anybody with your company that may be down in that area that you want to give a shout out to?
Honestly, I don't know really anybody down in that area, but except for, driving with John's family, he's got a lot of family down that way. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've got all the prayer I can give him and all the families that are down there besides his.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what do you know about on the west end of my state down at my shoulder right? I mean, have you heard anything about the stuff going on in Asheville? What do you know about?
I've been watching a little bit about that other than what you brought up in the last show we had. And I've been seeing a lot of it on my group, a lot of the highways are closed down, will be down for up to 2 years in some places. You've got a lot of major flows like I-40 down through. That's a major vein right through there, or major artery, I should say. And, hopefully they get that, repaired pretty soon because, it's hard for us truck drivers to run back
Yeah.
and forth through there without going down arteries like that.
Yeah.
Because we like to
One
stay
thing.
on main highways.
Yeah. One thing you might be proud to know about, and I remember seeing a report of a couple of days ago, is that there's a company out of Oklahoma, believe it or not. If I'm recalling it right, Stevens Towing, Stevens Hauling, something along that, not to be confused with the major company, but they were a smaller trucking company, and they took, I think over the weekend, they took something like 30 pallets of water out to, and if I can find the feed information, I'll put it in description. But they took 30 pallets of water in the back of smaller trucks and hauled ass right out to North Carolina. So kudos to them. There was also another company and it's not far away from you either, somewhere near Oklahoma City. But there's also a company in Pennsylvania did the same thing. Um, Butlers or Bowman, some crazy name. There are a lot of people that are giving of themselves and their gas and their time and their mileage to help others in need. So, to everyone watching this, if you're doing that, whether it's here in North Carolina or down in Florida, Thumbs up to you, brother. We'll help push that information forward each and every time we're live. And if I think I can do some good, I'll certainly come on and do a live and let others know about what you're doing. So do bear that in mind. But that warms my heart. I mean, just knowing there are people out there that are willing to do that, and they're not looking to capitalize. Thumper and Thumper Bo, what do you guys know? I mean, up in your area, there's usually not a whole lot, but I understand you told me earlier there's something you were familiar with. What do you know about that? Your audio's messed up, buddy. I can't hear you. No mic. Nope, nothing. Come back to you in a minute, buddy. So he figures that out. I mean, it's just a matter of time. People figure out if they've got, like Stevens in Oklahoma, you had a company sitting there giving everybody notifications locally. Hey, give us your donations. They got everything. And then, they sent their trucks out. Now, all of a sudden, they've got all these donations sitting there. Guess where they're going to go? They're going to go right with Driving with John's location. And they're planning already. So stay tuned for that. They're planning already mercy missions to Florida. So, I mean, it's people like that actually do step up at times of need. So
yeah, we also have another outfit that's called Feed the Children, and a lot of times when we have issues like this, they get involved, and the owner actually sends a lot of his guys out with stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Were you referring to the one? I'm sorry, I just came back.
No, go ahead.
The life of an owner operator. I got a call from a broker during the live. Were you talking about the link that I posted last week when I first came in? You were talking, boss man.
No, I don't think that was the link. This is stuff I found separate from that. There was a separate organization. It was a little close to Frank geographically. I thought of him when I saw it. And there was another one out of Pennsylvania that also stepped up and had all kinds of trouble trying to get to the area in and around Nashville. And, everybody's having the same problem. And here's what I want to leave you guys with before I move on to my opening thoughts. I'm going to bring Thumper back here in just a minute because I understand he's got something he wants to add to. But here's a thought I want everyone to be aware of, okay? You'll see everybody out and about trying to affect positive results, help, deliver, change, feed, clothe, clear trees, do things that are worthwhile. But there are just as many equal people that are out for nothing more than a score. If any one of you ever follow a local fella in North Carolina, his name is James Butler, look him up. James Butler runs a well service company, and he has videos daily about his daily routines, about him, his company, and the people he runs. And he put out during the hurricane that there was a number of people that were walking around in nice looking cars in suit and tie trying to pose as FEMA management. Sorry, that doesn't fly. You don't come up to people and tell them, well, all you got to do is pay me $300. I'll take the tree off your house. They'll take your $300. You'll never see them, and you're stuck with the problem you started with. Okay, so that was something he set me wise to. God bless him for doing that. But that also highlights the fact that there are just as many of these evil jackasses out there that are looking to take advantage of you, even though you're in a vulnerable spot. Please be careful. Don't be afraid to stop, ask a question, and vet everybody that's willing to help, even if it seems too good to be true. You've got to be careful. And
yeah, we get a lot of that out here in Oklahoma area too. Whenever we have a lot of tornadoes and storm damage.
Yeah. Now to that, I'm gonna defer to the Thumper. I mean, do you have anything to add to that one, Thumper, before we move on?
Can you guys hear me?
Perfectly. You're good audio.
All right.
Good audio.
All right. I switched from my phone to my iPad, so
I'm sorry about that. That's TV for you.
Yeah. Hurricanes, yeah, I kind of feel bad for everybody too, but over in my neck of the woods here, we're dealing with fires. We had in North Dakota, we have one really big one that took 90,000 acres of land. It killed or it took 2 lives, 26-year-old and a 47-year-old. Right now it's 98% contained, but it took 60 cow calf pairs, 49 cows and bulls, and 30 calves. And that was the big one up at the Ray Tioga fire up in North Dakota. And then we got another one that's the Bear Den fire near Mandaree, North Dakota. That's 30% contained. That's 18 square miles, which comes out to 11,746 acres. And then we got the Elkhorn fire, sorry, at Grassy Butte, North Dakota. That's 28,434 acres, and that's 55% contained. That's just in North Dakota. There was over 150 families evacuated from there. We're starting to kind of go back. It's harvest season for us, and that's kind of what ignited the Tioga fire. The other ones, they just, people out camping, not taking care of their campfires. The other two fires I want to talk about is the elk fire in Wyoming. That's at 73,000 acres right now, and it's only 10% contained. On September 26th, that was ignited by a lightning bolt. They evacuated over 700 cattle, which they asked for 15 trucks, and there was over 200 or 300 trucks that showed up for the cattle on that one. So I give props to the cattle guys to come together on that one. There's currently about 750 firefighters fighting that, so my prayers go out to those guys. And then the other fire in Wyoming that's going on is the Pack Trail fire. That's at 54,000 acres. Again, lightning started that one on September 15th. There's over 600 firefighters to them over there trying to fight it, and they're at 60% contained. So far, doing my research and everything, there are no human fatalities, but they're estimating right now it's about 10% of the livestock is gone, and the supplies that they are asking for right now is barbed wire fence or barbed wire fence posts. I mean, because that's big cattle community out there, and I kind of deal with that a whole lot. So just a lot of people.
I saw quite a bit of footage where they were trying to actually herd them up and do that from like drone footage and stuff like that. That was pretty. And when the hell did they start using Chinooks to deliver tempting payloads for these cattle? That's pretty clever. I got to give you credit for that.
That's the Midwest for you right there. We think outside of a box. So
yeah, you guys do.
But yeah, I mean, I know the hurricanes, everything, they're bad. But we're dealing with stuff over there, and we're trying to contribute with the hurricanes and stuff too. But a lot of people don't know about these fires, and people are losing their homes.
Well, I mean, it's all case in point to the fact that, I mean, as much as we have natural disasters that the media makes every big stink about, there's a bunch of stuff going on all over the country. I mean, if you want to help others, there's more than enough going on in the country. You can do it. But at the same time, if you're in the middle of one of these things, you really do have to keep your head about you and make sure that you trust and know what information's coming your way to actually know that you're going to get what you're promised. I mean, because kudos to you, Thumper, for give us an update on something really I didn't know much about until you brought it to my attention the other day. But everybody knows about Milton and Helene and all those, and just as much as there are those like us that know little or enough about it, there are those that know everything and are looking to capitalize on it. So definitely, first, if you're not, there in it, and you got to be careful getting through it. Be careful once you're through it, because you know what, it's a dangerous game out here, and that's my main message. Just as much as there are people looking to help, there are just as many looking to scam you. And I'm going to say this even though I don't have the live feed active. My hat's off to Driveline. Driveline is another channel I follow on social media. He's a trucking outfit. Um, Hats off to you, my friend. If you're down there sleeping, if you're not, to those watching his live feed earlier, please be safe and do everything to come out of this because we're looking for more. And you guys, you rock just like we do. So let me get to the first segment, and that is my opening thoughts. Of course, it never wants to work the way I want it to. I'll tell you what, guys, technology is definitely unpredictable, but I'm working through it. You know what? A major turn of events not long ago. I'm going to get this working the way I want to. Thank you. And I don't care if it takes me forever. That's what I'm looking for. And even if there's a moment or two, you know what? It's technology. We're perfecting it little by little. In a major turn of events, the National Labor Relations Board found a company named Garden Truckin guilty of violating labor laws. We've all heard the story. It's not the first time this has been in the news. According to a story filed in Trucking Dive not long ago, they uncovered serious allegations of misconduct, including threats from a company owner to shut down the entire business if employees joined a union. Well, these actions and tactics went beyond mere words. Managers allegedly interrogated employees, disciplined workers, and created an environment that intended to undermine the efforts they were against. It became so severe that they ruled out, the National Labor Relations Board ruled out the need for a new election and kind of nullified everything, issuing something called a GISL bargaining order, which required the company to negotiate directly with the union and the Association of Workers upon request. There's more to the story, and we're going to cover some of that tonight, and we're going to turn out a little bit of discussion exactly what it is and what it means to actually look at unionizing. Because I'm telling you, the reason I bring this up is because I don't know how many pieces of content I've put up on my trucking channel. I constantly look at the comments, and I'll give everybody credit, okay? Everyone that comments on my videos are just like everyone that joins my live shows. You are open and free to state whatever opinion you want. I'll never censor, nor will I delete. YouTube may, but I won't. I'll never look unfavorably. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I have to ask the obvious question. When you make comments on mine and other people's content about we need to stop, we need to unionize, we need to gather, we need to unify, I hear these things all the time. And my question out there, and tell me in the audience if I'm wrong and totally half-baked by coming up with this. Are we serious? I mean, will that kind of activity really net a positive for us? Because there's somebody on my panel who's kindly pointed out time over time that if you don't do it right, you look like the villain. You look like the bad guy. And you quite frankly get nothing done. And this story about Garden Trucking really kind of proves it, because they set out and originally had their sights on unionizing a company. Now, at the end of the day, that never happened. Now, because the overall company decided what they wanted was they wanted their company to succeed. Now, you know what? For years, the message was always clear from that company. If it's ever going to get better, it's going to take unions. Well, that company rejected that statement, and they said, you know what? I own the company. I don't care about a union. I want things to go the way I want my trucking company. You got two ways of thinking about it. You've got the collective bargaining power of people, but then you've also got the industry as a whole. You've got the people on one side, you've got the company on another. How can the people benefit when the company's put asunder by a force it didn't count on? Or maybe it didn't agree. Maybe it did. That's not the point. The point of tonight's discussion is, what do you get when you force either a company or an industry into a position it wasn't designed for? And that's what I want to know from you in the audience. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, if unionize is the best way, why would they shut down rather than work with us? Well, you know what? Some people want it. Some people don't. You know, industry-wide, there's, I'm guessing, 12 million of those. Somebody else also pointed out in the panel, if you put two people in a room, you never get the same opinion. Moreover, he said 200. You can't get, you know, but the point's there. You can't get that many people in an industry as diverse as trucking agreeing on the same thing for a long enough period of time to affect any change. Yet constantly showing up in my videos and many others, there's all these people, chest beating and all, I need this, I need that, we should this, we can that. Hell, I'm even notorious for myself. I say, without trucks, the world stops. I say it on my vlog channel. That's good. But I ask you in the audience, tell me in the comments, call me on the phone, let me know. Should there be a right way and a wrong way? To unionize is one thing. To unify is one thing. But do you do it at the risk of cutting off your face to spite your nose? Or cutting off, you get the point, nose to spite your face? Let me know. Let's have this discussion. I mean, because Garden Trucking found it the hard way. You know, you don't always get what you want, like Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger says. Let me know what you guys think in the audience. 860-785-3547. Talk to us in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. I'm going to bring everybody up one at a time. We're going to talk about the benefits, the pros, and the cons. Let's bring up unions in trucking. What say you guys in the panel? Randomly tell me, what do you think? First one to speak is Poet. What do you think, my friend?
You really think we need unions? Well, back in the 20s, 30s, the dirty 30s, and the 40s, yes, maybe. But I'm thinking that unions have outlived their lives and their goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before. I can't get my union pension because it's buried with somebody at a stadium in New Jersey.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so what am I going to do? Would I join another one? Not a chance.
No. Well, I mean, everybody's got their opinion of unions. You're entitled to yours. I thank you. That's part of the show. I appreciate that. Let me back up just a second because I'm staring at a comment right now underneath. Hey, everyone, it's late again. Myself and team in church are in West North Carolina. These folks are in desperate need. 7 C's. Let me ask you, please, either through email or through comment, please forward me a link that I may pass on to others that inquire. If there's a link, a phone number, an email address, please let us know how we can help. If we have extra time, thoughts, energies, resources, anything, please send it to me. Let me know. I will pass it on. I certainly want to be the barter of information that helps anyone, either North Carolina or Florida. That's important to me. I want to make sure everybody's got what they need. Grumpy, what do you think? Unions, I mean, I know it sounds like, and one of the other panelists made a comment earlier, we're beating this to a horse. No, I want to make it clear. There's a right way to do things, and then there's also a way to ruin the industry. And I honestly think that the more times we see stories, trucking dives run on Garden Trucking and unionizing and all this, the more harm it's done to the industry, because you know what? Unionization works for some people. But I think industry-wide, it doesn't do a damn bit of good, because all you do is put yourself in a place where the majority has control. And we don't get into trucking because we want majority controlling us. We want our own control. We want to map out our own plans. We want to map out our own plans. We want to do our own thing. What do you think?
Well, you know, with all the other shows that we've done that had to pertain to the unions, I'd stick with what I say. I see no good in the union, never have, never will. And, you know, they're all about give us money, give us money, give us money, but they don't really want to stand up for anybody. So I just feel that, you know, they're never going to improve. They're just going to make things worse as it goes.
Well, no, nothing changes. I mean, that's just the problem. I mean, especially when you're talking about unions. I mean, as long as you pay your dues and you pay them, everybody's
They're happy.
benefiting. They're happy, exactly. But the moment you have a faltering issue, or you miss a payment, or let's say you move jobs, or just do something that makes perfect sense to you, when you lose that, you lose everything. You know, if you're no longer part of the union, what the hell were you fighting for? You know,
Exactly.
so it doesn't make sense, because, you know, it just, I mean, I get that it helps people. Don't get me wrong. UPS has their union. FedEx has theirs. Teamsters, they provide all these benefits for everybody. I'm never going to talk crap about unions. They serve their purpose and they do their thing. But for someone to sit there watching a person's content, whether it's mine, yours, Grumpy, whether it's, you know, anything you put out, Larry Thumper, you know, it's not so much, you know, there's no one glove. Well, there's no one thing fits all. It's not, you know, we can't create an industry wide represent. I mean, because they thought ATA would do it. That don't work. They thought OIDA would do it. That don't work. I mean, so, I mean, if you don't belong to those two and you're just like you and me out here doing our own thing, who listens to us? Other than my channel, who hears what we say if we're not represented? I mean, that's the thing. Thank you. Yeah, right. Nobody. I mean, so, I mean, it's one thing to have a voice to sound. I mean, you know, my channel's great, but, you know, but who in Washington hears us? Other than when we make public news, or when we, you know, get a lot of ratings on NBC or CNN or whatever, which, God willing, maybe will happen. You know, my point being is, you know, unions go only just so far. You know, I think it's a bad sign when people have lost so much hope that they fall back to the little union argument. What are you doing? Let me ask you in the audience, what are you doing? I mean, have you lost that much hope that you're giving up? Are you quitting? Are you hanging up the keys? Are you going home? Or are you trying to do the best job you can with the industry you represent and the company you have at your feet? Because honestly, through every story I'm going to talk about tonight, and there's only two, and everything that goes on, it all starts with you. And that's where all my content starts. Okay? You are in control of your ship. You are the captain of your own vessel. And you can sit there and say all day long, it's up to a union. But are you going to give up your control to somebody else? Or are you going to take control, get off the fence, and start making things happen for you? Because change starts with you. It doesn't start with the unions. It doesn't start in Washington, and it doesn't start at the corporate level. Because one thing I've learned is corporations don't care, unions don't care, and Washington, they don't have time. Or maybe it's the other way around. But either way, I think you get the point.
Same thing.
You know, it starts with you. You know? Anybody get something to add? Check the comments.
I do.
Go ahead, Thumper.
So when people comment on other people's things saying we need to unionize, what do they mean by that? Are they saying, I mean, you gotta look at it at the other point of view. Are they saying they need to join a union, or do all of us owner operators or whatever need to unionize together to fight for what's right? Not an actual union, but work together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many things about unions, and it just kind of depends on how you take that comment and everything. I've never
Right.
worked for a union. I never will. I have a family member that works for the union. He absolutely loves it, but to me, I don't see a point in an actual union. But you know, you got to, like I said, you got to look at their statement at a different angle. Besides, well, we all need to join a union. Maybe we just need to unionize to work together to what we need, what we want.
Well, I think that personally, everybody putting faith in unions gives basically no power to the individual. It says we don't matter when, in fact, my whole stance and opinion has always been we do. But what credibility do we lend to that when we give up to unions and to people with more power than us? That being said, I'm going to defer to the comment below on the screen where Lance says unions have too much power, break the back of the economy. Just a few days that dock workers were on strike cost a whole lot of money. Yes, my statistics I saw were up to $5 billion a day. So kudos to you, Lance, for making that known. I tell you honestly, when it comes down to it, a very little argument can have a huge sway on the economy. And, I think people get it confused and they see things just like Lance pointed out just a second ago. And they think, oh my God, if I can convince enough people, then we can do the same thing. But that will never happen because you know what? Someone in Pennsylvania tried it 2 years ago and failed. He tried, he organized, had one driver show up and looked like crap. So yeah, without a union, you'll have no power. But at the same time, unless what you're trying to do doesn't have enough traction, you're not going to get anywhere. But if it does, you don't need a union backing you. It gains traction on its own. So it really depends. That's why I say it starts with you because you are the motivator, the captain, and you are the person that propels everybody else in a direction with you or for you. So, you don't need a union and you certainly don't need a huge group of people. You just need to have change that's right and change that works well. I think that's my personal opinion. If anybody disagrees with me, put in the comments. I want to hear. It makes a lot of sense. Another comment coming from Seven Seas. Best and honest way to find Samaritan's Purse. Good thought. I didn't even think of them. Located near disaster area. I wouldn't trust any other big name organization. Yeah, aside from the Red Cross, but they're too focused on FEMA, and FEMA's turning people away. So I said in an earlier live, and if I'm steering right, 7C, tell me. I think the best thing to do is contact people, whether it's here or in Florida. Contact the churches and food banks directly. Local chapters, not big ones. Local churches, local food banks. I think they best know what they need. So Samaritan's Purse, I think, in every state has their own chapter. So that's a great way to start. I think that's a good way to go. Thank you for reminding me of that. Like I said, let me know if I'm overstepping, but I think local churches and local food banks is the way to go. Let me see. Catching up on my messages personally. Anyway, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Catching up with everybody on comments. Unions bad for business. Yes, we already had that. We are good. I mean, anybody have anything to add before I move on to the next thing? I got a guy in the background.
Larry does.
Welcome to Fate Truckin. Larry, you have the hot seat, my friend. What do you got to add to this one?
First of all, back to your story about information. If you're coming into Tennessee or going out of Tennessee, do not take I-26. You're not going to get very far.
Especially if you're coming from the north. God bless it. No, that's half of that's gone.
You're going to have to go, if you're going into North Carolina or into South Carolina, you're going to have to go into Georgia, or you're going to have to come up through 81 and over to 77 and come in that way. You're not going to get in through 40. Because as of now, I-40 is closed at 440 in Tennessee.
40's out and 26 is out. The best way to get in is to come in from the southeast from Charlotte, because many people have left there and gone to Charlotte. There's a lot of snake roads and BS, but that's the best way to do it, I think. And you're perfectly good in mentioning that. Yes, I appreciate that.
And second, this union thing, if people would stop complaining about unfair wages and actually do their job, they wouldn't have to care about the union things. They would make money.
And then that goes to the other part of the argument I rose with the whole discussion to begin with. I said earlier on, it starts with you. You know,
Right.
How many of us sit back? Go ahead.
If you're not happy what you're making, better yourself. Find another place.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it starts with you because you are the barter and person in control of your own future. So if you make the decision that you want to do something to better your life, who are you hurting? Who are you actually affecting negatively in any way? So
not to
that
take
helps
something away from what Tom was saying, but unions are for weak people.
No, he's perfectly right in that. Yeah, it is. Unions are for weak people. Thank you for reminding me. I was trying to remember that earlier.
They want to sit there and complain about, oh, we're not making this, we're not making that. Well, show them you're worth that.
Right. Yeah. I want to bring Fate up for a minute. Yep. I want to bring Fate Truckin up for a minute because in terms of my discussion about it starts with you, I think you would be able to offer some good information about that because I'm going to tell you what, I've heard a lot of things you've said in the past, Fate, about, some mistakes I've made, which propelled me to make a video on my other channel. If you are so inclined, check it out. Mistakes I've made that I want you guys to avoid. But I bring it up because, you know what? A lot of people defer to the masses when it comes to, we need a union, we need this, we need that. But how often do people do what you convinced me to do, and that's look inwards? How often do people actually think about themselves before they think about others? When it comes to this whole unionization garbage, shouldn't people look at themselves first? What do you think?
Hopefully you can hear me.
Very well.
Can you
Very
hear
well.
me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not gonna say unions are for weak people. No offense, Little John. Like I don't agree with that statement. But what I do want to say is you made a comment earlier, Steve, about you don't have a voice to stand up for you if you're not in the union. I 100% disagree with that as well. You are entitled to your voice, and your work should be your voice. If you show that you're a good employee, a company is going to do everything they can to keep you. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're not hand tied like with a union where they can't give you more money because you're part of a collective bargaining agreement that won't allow them to give you more money. And if they do give you more money, you have just stabbed all your brothers in the back, brothers and sisters. Let me be clear. But, the whole union talk in my mind is there was a time and place for unions. I don't really think now is the time and place for unions. That's my personal opinion.
Right. And that was mainly what I was trying to say. I mean, don't misunderstand. What I said earlier was, I think, probably misunderstood, but my thing wasn't that whether it was a, if you're with the union versus whether you're not. My thing is, if you want to make a difference and you want to make your voice be heard, there are ways to do it. I don't really think unions collectively can, just simply because you've got to either pay to be a part of one or you don't. There's neither, 100% in or out. So whether that gives you an industry-wide voice, I can't say one way or the other. But to your point, yes, I agree.
My biggest thing against the union is just the majority rules, and the majority might not have my best interests in mind. So
Right. Yeah.
I know what I want, and I know what I can go out and get, and I don't need somebody to talk to a company for me to get me that. Either the company is going to pay it to me or they're not. You know what I mean? And that goes back
Yeah.
to what Larry said. I'll go and
Right.
find a company that will. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But getting out what real quick, because I might lose service here.
Hope not.
I think a lot of people don't look inward. I don't think people take time to look in the mirror and change what they need to change, not only in their career path, but in their personal life. They're so quick to point fingers and blame that nothing gets solved at that point. When you can't take accountability, you're gonna always lose 100% of the time.
Fully agree, and thank you for offering that, because that's plainly the reason I brought you up, because I know you felt that way. Thank you for offering that, because it's so true. So many people nowadays are so quick to point fingers at everyone else, and they want to make it an issue that really doesn't make sense, considering what really happens day to day. I mean, because honestly, if you want to make something of yourself and you want to make an improvement yourself, the best thing to do is look at you first. You can't help others unless you decide to make a difference on your own. And that brings me to the next story, which obviously is a little different, but I think it still speaks to how important it is. I hope I'm doing this right. Let's start the debate. For once, it actually worked out right. I'm amazed. I've been trying this for 2 weeks. Technology really does work when you use it right. Let's pull back the curtain here and let's look at something. We heard all this hubbub about the ILA strikes, and we heard about hundreds of dock workers out there in Jersey, all along the East Coast, standing strong, waving their signs. And we heard about all of this. And as Lance pointed out earlier in the comments, it had such an effect. Okay. When we think about it, let me catch up. I want to make sure I'm making the right point here. Why do we need more? The question I want to ask out of all of this is, why do we need more? And I don't mean more unions. I don't mean more strikes. I mean, why is it that we have such a reliance on people seeing it necessary, whether it's ILA, longshoremen's, whether it's railroad, whatever? What is going on with the industry that causes everyone to get to the point where they feel like it's necessary to do this? Okay, because it's not just about a strike. I think it's about the industry, and it's about what's going on. As we talked a minute ago with Fate, it's, and my belief personally, what are we doing wrong? Think about it. I mean, everybody points to work conditions, wages, everything that's wrong. Why has it gotten to a point where we have to get down in the dirt, get with a union or a force or a group of people? Why is it even necessary to have this discussion in the first place? I mean, I brought it up at the start because you know what? I've been hearing about it week after week. We had a whole week leading up to the ILA strike. That's all you heard on the media. And now that it's done and over with, everybody knows what they're getting. ILA did finally get something for what they fought for, but they also put off a lot of their arguments for a later time. So I was left asking the question, okay, well, what the hell was all that for? And then here we are, as Lance pointed out, $5 million or whatever the amount is. For what? At the end of the day, today, trucking is no different than it was 2 weeks ago. What did we gain? you know, they're standing up for their fights and they're doing what it is they do. My question is, let's consider the bigger picture. Let's imagine a future where every one of us, you, me, the unions, those not in unions, and everybody independently can stand up and say, this is what I want to get done. This is what I'll accept. And this is what I want you to do. That to me sounds like an industry that is more apt to work together and be more productive than one where you have this outfit here doing this, you have this outfit here doing that, and then before you know it, you're on the opposite ends of an argument that fight each other, which usually winds up happening. So my concern is we're all about let's do this and let's do that, and everybody's losing sight of the bigger picture. You know, I'd like to be able to come up here and report one day that, you know, we don't have a union fight. We don't have a problem. Everybody's working together. And guess what? The industry's improving. And it is. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not a doomsday fella. I'm not a prepper. Okay. But I think it would make more sense if instead of us just driving down the road, looking out the front window, thinking about just ourselves, think about our neighbor. Think about the dude riding next to us. Thinking about the dude who just left at the dock. Think about the shipper we're going to be pulling into. Think about the people you're not dealing with at the moment. What can you do to make things easier on your day or their day? I think personally, if more people thought that way, it would be a whole better industry. I want to hear what you say in the comments. I want to know if you guys think I'm crazy or you think I should reach more people. Whatever the case is, I want to hear what you think. We're going to bring the panel back up because I'm sure everybody in the panel is probably like, God damn, this guy needs to shut up, for God's sakes. No, I know they don't think that, but let me know in the panel. I mean, if you guys think I'm crazy, I think it's stupid. I really don't want to report on this anymore. I want to be free of, well, you know, we got this problem, that problem, whatever. What do you think? Anybody? Say your piece.
I think you're stupid. I think you're crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say that out loud? No.
Just like you to
honestly,
be. Just like you to
honestly, I honestly believe that they're solving their problem, what they feel is their problem, and not any problems that we out here are having, and only their problem. And of course, it's a union, so they're going to be fighting for only themselves. And unless we're part of that union, which we aren't, we're not going to benefit nothing from it. But
no.
I agree with you, boss man. You know, we should be more thankful for the factor of our dock workers, our warehouse workers, you know, these other drivers and stuff that are out here busting tails. You know, it's just not enough of that. And it's more of this. Whoops. More here. Let me give more of this than anything anymore. It's all about the greenback.
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah, I know. Cue up frame.
I'm talking with you, but I'm also monitoring other feeds too. I just wanted to see if there was something important you guys needed to know about. What say you, Larry?
Well, everyone knows my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I had to assert some emotion in what I said.
Well, work for yourself. Don't worry about what other people want.
Yeah. Well, no.
It's like you said. You can only change what you can change.
True.
Right. True. You can't change what happens to the industry. I mean, for instance, this company can close tomorrow, and then what?
Very, very true. I mean, you can't control what others do, but at the same time, when you work with the idea, you know, all I can do is cite my own company, okay? Because everybody knows who I work for. I work for United Van Lines. You know, I don't just do household moves. I do conventions, okay? And there's quite a few times where they'll communicate to me in advance. Well, I need X, I need Y. They give me a list of equipment that they need, and all of that I have. So it's not a problem. But there are a couple occasions where I've got to stop and make purchases. Now I get reimbursed for that. It's not just I lay out and I never see the return on it. But if I get there after the fact and find out they need something else that I think someone behind me will benefit from, I'm going to pass that on.
Okay.
How many people do that? I mean, honestly, they'll buy what they need. They'll get the reimbursement. But how many pass on what others might see behind them?
You don't get that anymore out here just nowadays.
Yeah, right. Thumpers
Well,
want to add something?
Yeah, you're it's perfect. It'd be great if we're who can make more money off of somebody else. It's all about the money. There's always going to be union fights. There's always going to be this. There's always going to be that. If we all work together and everything ran smoothly, we wouldn't need the government. We wouldn't need unions. We wouldn't need anything. We'd all be working together, and life would be perfect. But that's never going to happen.
Nope. Life will never be perfect.
Well, here's a great example. I know these two wonderful friends of mine that saw that I needed some help and didn't expect nothing back out of me. Didn't want it back. So I done it in return for them two great friends of mine. I paid it forward. So I've done it, and that's the way I see it. If your friend's not wanting it back or whoever's not wanting it back, pay it forward to someone that needs it. See a need, fill a need.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
I
can't disagree with that more. I mean, that certainly helps. I want to address the comment on the bottom of the screen. Lance, yeah, I understand you disagree, but I think I'm going to read the comment. I disagree with accountability because these days it just doesn't seem to matter anymore. For example, look at our government and what they're doing right now. There's no accountability. Okay, don't confuse, Lance. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. But I also don't want you to confuse, for what it's worth, what I view as accountability with personal accountability. There's a big difference. I mean, if I sit here as a truck driver and I look out on the landscape of a load board or the industry as a whole, and I sit here and because I can't get a $1.95 load, and all that's there is a $1.50 load. Now, if I sit here and blame the industry because everybody's shitting it up for me or making it harder for me, that doesn't help me find that $1.95 load I was originally looking for. That's personal accountability. That's me setting my standards to, okay, I will only accept. And what you're talking about with the government, I agree with full-heartedly because the government don't care whether you get $1.95 or you get 95.95, 1 cent. They don't give a crap what you get. All they've got to do is provide for the masses. They don't care about the individual, and they never will. It's not their job to care about you. It's only their job to get paid to care about everyone. That's only reason why the government's there. So in that respect alone is the only reason I agree with you. You make a good point. But I stand on personal accountability. I didn't get into trucking because I knew I could make every single day $4 loads. If that were the case, I'd have gotten out in 2019. Because $4 loads dried up back in 2020 with COVID. I should have got out then. But no, I'm in trucking because I know that despite the lower rates and despite the depression, the economy, and even there's still a way to make it. It's not the load boards that define me. It's not the industry that defines me. It's the lifestyle that defines me. And that's where personal accountability comes in. You're either willing to do it or you're not.
Yes, sir.
But kudos to you for stating your piece. I welcome it from everybody on not only the panel, but in the audience as well. And that's how conversations start. So thank you, Lance, for being part of that.
Sometimes in order to get those $1.95, $2 a mile loads, you got to pull them $1.50 loads to prove that you could do it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That
But
goes,
even
that goes back to your accountability thing. You got to show them that you're willing to do that.
well,
to
not
run
only
for-
that, don't look at it as a proof thing. Look at it as a setup. You can
Mhm.
either set yourself up for failure, as I pointed out in my World Trucking video. If you don't know about it, see it, look at it, check it out. But you can also set yourself up for success. You
Mhm.
might not have that $1.95 load you want, but if you take that 95 cent a mile load 200 miles out of your way, you may find that 245 load that was just totally worth that extra 200 miles of deadhead.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
all mindset. It's all what you think, and it's all how you look at it. And are you here to make a life, or are you here to pitch a bitch? That's, I mean, really, I mean, when it comes down to it, it even goes back to the first story. And you can sit here and blame the union for all the wrongs you have. But at the end of the day, is it the union or is it you? Are you
Mhm.
accepting or are you propelling? Are you looking to move yourself forward? Or are you just going to accept the fact that somebody's dealt you a raw hand of cards? I mean,
Mhm.
really, where does it stop? Where does it start? That's my thing. And that's, I mean, that's hopefully what I want to deliver with each and every live show I have. And it comes back personal accountability, and I should have used the government as an example. Well, yeah, they are a lousy example, but yeah, personal accountability. And I always want to differentiate simply because, you know, it's easy for us as an industry to
Mhm.
sit back and say, it's their fault. It's his fault. It's that company's fault. They screwed me. I didn't, whatever. But the end result is you have to ask yourself, is it their fault that they didn't tell me, or is it my fault that I didn't see it?
Or
Did I
didn't
not,
ask.
or that too? Yeah. I mean, did I not model my business correctly?
Mhm.
Did I not think ahead about the plan? Did I not put enough contingencies in place? You know, I mean, there's 100 questions you could ask yourself before pointing your fingers at someone else who's absolutely got nothing to do with the reason you failed.
Well, just remember, hey, if you point a finger towards you, there's three more, and a thumb pointed back at yourself.
Very true. Very true. I'm looking at something, so give me a second here.
So that's all I got to say about that. Lance, I'm sorry. We don't quite agree, but that's the way
Well,
it
don't
is.
feel like, yeah, don't feel like you owe anything, whether you're talking to Lance or whether you're talking to anybody else in the industry. You owe nobody nothing other than the ultimate respect and time it takes to every, you know, in your case, especially, Poet, teach them something you might not have known. You know, 54 plus years, you got a lot to teach people. And I'm sure I don't know nothing about Lance, but you probably got a lot you can teach people too. So everyone on this panel can do the same thing. We all have lessons we can convey
Yes.
and ways in which to make everyone's life better.
Yes.
So, I mean, this entire show started off with that exact vein, propelling everybody. I mean, it's just that simple. If you have a way of offering others a positive, and give me a second because I'm checking a feed out. If you have a way of saving others, by all means, you know, certainly offer that information because, you know, here at least, that's what I look to do. And no,
All in
the
all
the
in all,
streams I was
boss
looking to join,
man,
I don't have. Go ahead.
all in all, boss
Go ahead,
man,
Paul. Yep.
on this show, okay, we don't look for payment. No, we pay it forward,
That's exactly right.
hoping,
Exactly right.
hoping that future generations will do the same. Learn
Yep.
from our mistakes and carry on in our industry.
Yep. That's all we can do, my friend. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Paying it forward makes everybody better, and it gets the job done at the end of the day. So,
Hmm.
anybody want to hold on?